We mentioned Cody Rhodes a minute ago. Let's kick off this King and Queen of the Ring preview with the WWE Championship match, Cody Rhodes and Logan Paul. We said it last week. We were real iffy about how they were going to get themselves out of this. And man, they got themselves out of it in a tremendous heel way. I'm surprised that more heels don't bring lawyers to contract signings. Let's be honest, because that was a fantastic way to get out of it, man. And now we're just for the WWE Championship. It's the main event of the show. Okay, Logan Paul can put up a great fight, but in the end, Cody Rhodes can get it done, and we'll all be happy.
The only thing I'll say.
Oh, no. See, I was the one skeptical last week, and now you're skeptical.
The only thing that makes me nervous is how much they brought up Jake Paul.
I mean, he might be there, yeah.
And I feel like if he's there in any capacity and causes Logan to win, and now we get the Paul brothers heel faction group and WWE and everything else, that's the only thing that's causing me a little concern. I think even if Jake Paul gets involved, Cody's still winning.
Yep.
And they also didn't rule out a future United States Championship match.
Sure.
Because at the end, Cody held up that U.S. title and then threw it at him. So I'm glad we're not doing belt for belt. But I don't know. I will say this. I heard somebody, I don't remember who said it, but I heard somebody else say it. This is the perfect Saudi Arabia match for the champion is Logan Paul.
Well,
like we saw with Roman.
Yeah.
We're seeing it with Cody. Just throw Logan Paul out there. It's a good match in front of a crowd. We come back and we're off and running on something else.
I may be giving you, I don't want to say an impossible question here, but is this going to be Logan Paul's best match that he's had yet?
I don't know. The Seth one at WrestleMania 39 was really good.
The Roman
one at the Saudi show was really good.
Is that one the best, you think? The Roman one?
Probably.
Yeah. I see. I think so too.
The Seth one was really good too. Like the Seth one was really good, but I think the storytelling in Roman kind of pushed that one up another level.
I tell you what, though, this might be unfair because it's not one-on-one, but that triple threat match at WrestleMania was a barn burner.
Yeah.
With KO and Randy
the
Orton.
Elimination Chamber this year that he was in, and the Money in the Bank match that he was in. Like Logan Paul's putting really good spots here recently. So I think this will be. I don't know if it'll be Logan Paul's best match, but it'll be one of his best match. And honestly, I wouldn't be shocked at the end of Cody's run if Logan Paul versus Cody isn't one of Cody's best matches that he's had kind of in this list. Because the AJ Styles one is going to be hard to beat right now, but you never really know what could happen.
Okay, I'm going to ask you this. Again, another impossible question, but it came up as I was listening to Sam Roberts earlier today, because he was talking about Cody and Logan Paul. He didn't bring this up, but it came to mind. We talk about how Logan Paul has really picked this business up so quickly. He's really only been in it for 2+ years now. And he's had some incredible matches. He's headlined with Roman. We just listed a bunch of guys that he's wrestled. The only other person that I can think of that people talk about in the same vein as we're talking about Logan Paul is how quickly Kurt Angle picked up the wrestling business and how quickly he took to what it was doing and how much of a natural he was. I'm not asking you to say is Logan Paul better than Kurt Angle, but do you see the comparison of we haven't seen somebody probably since Kurt Angle that has picked this up as fast, if not faster, than Logan Paul?
Yeah. I don't know. That's a hard one because, Angle's one of those guys that was just ridiculous, the things that he was able to do as quickly as he was, which, Logan Paul is the same way. I think the thing that's crazy about Angle is, well, yes, he comes from a wrestling background, obviously not a professional wrestling background, but it comes from a wrestling background. Right. The things he was able to do and pick up on quickly was amazing. I think the thing with Logan is already more athletic.
Yep.
And and the thing is, they both came up in very different times in wrestling.
Sure.
And so I think that plays a factor. I don't know if I'm ready to say he's picked it up quicker than Angle.
Right.
But he has, I mean, he's picked it up really, really quickly to the point where even his like worst match is still like, oh, it's fun. Like that was a fun match to sit through and watch. So
Yep.
I get the comparison. I get what you're saying. I'm not ready to bite that bullet yet. that's a big one to take off. But yeah, I can see the comparisons. I would give Angle the advantage more than Paul right now, and that may just be with rose tinted glasses because he's Kurt Angle.
Sure. And a lot of wrestling fans can give me flack for this. In fact, at Chris Belcher 24 is where you can hit me on social media. I'm not as big of a Kurt Angle fan as a lot of people are. I obviously respect what he's been able to do in the business. He's put on some stellar matches. I'm not saying I don't like Kurt Angle. I just don't think of him as fondly as everybody else does, which to each his own. I'm not, hating on him, but maybe that's where some of my, hey, do you think Logan Paul is better? No, I don't know. But I don't hold Kurt Angle as high as everybody else does. That's just me, though. All right, let's move on to the women's world title match. Becky Lynch and Liv Morgan. No word, at least that I've read, and maybe you can shed some light on this, if Becky has re-signed or not. And if she has not, that means that contract is coming up at the end of this month. So that could tell you right now what the finish is. I don't know. What do you think?
The only thing I know is Becky holds all the cards right now, because I think by the end of wherever she signs, she's going to be the highest paid female professional wrestler of all time. I don't think that goes away anytime soon. I would be shocked if she goes to AEW, and I don't think there's a chance she goes to AEW. I think Triple H and company realize how important she is, not just to like women's wrestling, but specifically WWE. Yep. I think she's impossible to let go. And so whatever you offer, she basically is the kind where you just slide the blank check to her and say, whatever number you want, write it down. We'll give it to you. Yep. Because I think she absolutely deserves it. I think she's going to take more days off. She's going to work fewer dates. That's totally fine. But whatever it takes to get her to stay, you do to get her to stay.
I honestly think she walks away without a deal, like right now. Like maybe she takes like 6 months off or something and is not signed anywhere. Maybe she pops up at an indie show here and there, not to wrestle, but just like, pops up or what have you.
Right.
But I don't expect her to wrestle with any other company. She might do like a one-off or something in Japan, but we also know that WWE has more of a working relationship with Japan now, so that could fall,
even TNA,
or even so that could fall under the WWE umbrella. But no, like I think it was I don't remember if it was Ariel Helwani or Chris Van Vliet that she was on with before WrestleMania. They were asking her about her contract status, and she said, "This is not my last WrestleMania." So I don't think she's going anywhere. But at the same time, it is a thing. But
I also don't blame her for playing the competition against each other to get the highest bid out of anybody. Because honestly, we saw Randy Orton do the same thing. He was like, I may go over here to this AEW company for a little bit. And Vince and company was like, no, here's a crap ton of money for you to stay. And I don't blame them for using... Wrestling is hot right now, and use that to your advantage to make as much money as you can, because they really deserve it.
Is it Liv's moment already? We talked about her feuding with Rhea. We sort of talked about Becky being the pivot because Rhea's hurt. All signs pointed to, okay, Liv's taking the title off of Becky because it makes sense for that story. We were going to try to get the title on Liv anyway. Here's an easy way to do it. Is it time this weekend?
I don't know. I don't know if I want Liv to take the title off Becky or if I want Liv to take the title off Rhea. I think that's the question that you kind of have to ask yourself is who do you want Liv to take the title off of? I think there's money in Becky being champion and Rhea coming back and taking the title off Becky, and Rhea being like the one person Becky just can't beat.
Right.
But then on the flip side, have Liv Morgan beat Rhea and have Liv for one reason or another, maybe it's mind games or whatever, be the one person that Rhea can't beat. And
Right.
so it's kind of this like trickle down effect that you could build maybe possibly to WrestleMania 41, a triple threat between Rhea, Liv, and Becky for the title. So I think there's a lot of ways they can go. If I'm a betting man, which I'm not, I would probably say they're going to put the title on Liv,
Right.
just because of the Becky contract stuff. It's safe to have
Right.
the title on the person that's going to be there Monday than the person that might not be there Monday.
Right. That's very true.
So I would not be shocked to see Liv walk out with the title.
3 championship matches on this King and Queen of the Ring tournament show. Sami Zayn defends the Intercontinental Championship against Big Bronson Reed and Chad Gable in a triple threat match. Man, I know Sammy and Chad wrestled on Raw tonight, and I know they had a fantastic match several weeks back after WrestleMania, and Bronson Reed can do things that a man his size should not be able to do. But having said all that, I'm just not really that excited for this match, if I'm being honest. What do you think?
Yeah. I think this would be better if it was just Sammy and Chad. But I think Bronson's in there to eat the pin, so Chad doesn't have to.
Oh, fair
just
enough.
yet.
Okay.
So I think it's to keep Chad strong. Plus, it gives Sammy a big win over a big guy like Bronson Reed by himself. I don't know if you saw this tonight or not, but after the match, the crowd started doing the "You Suck" chant to Chad Gable's song at him in the same way they used to do it to Kurt Angle. So, I mean, that basically just almost solidified Chad Gable as this generation's Kurt Angle, which we have been saying for literal years now, and it's finally starting to come into to fruition. The match tonight was awesome. I think the match itself going into it is not a lot, but I think it's going to be one of those where, like, okay, that was a really good Intercontinental Championship match. When I think of an Intercontinental Championship 3-way, that's the kind of match I'm thinking of at the end of the day. So I expect big things from them, at least in ring wise, and probably more than likely a Sami Zayn retention heading into SummerSlam, where Chad Gable probably wins it then in a one-on-one.
Well, yeah, like with all of these WWE PLEs that have on 5-match cards or, whatever, some of them were like, okay, like it's a cookie cutter show. Like there's really not a whole lot there or whatever. And then they surprise us. Some random match like a Rhea Ripley versus Zelina Vega at Backlash in Puerto Rico is like, wait a minute. Like that was awesome. That was so much fun, and not taking anything away from Rhea and Zelina. I'm just saying there's a lot of matches that we don't put a lot of stock in. This being one of them right here, just like you said, might not be excited about it right now, but when that bell rings on Saturday, let's go. Yeah, it could be a lot of fun. All right, King and Queen of the Ring tournament finals. We are set on the Raw side for both. Let's talk about the women first. Lyra Valkyria getting the win over Io Sky on Monday Night Raw. She will face either Nia Jax or Bianca Belair. That will be decided this Friday on SmackDown, the day before the tournament final. Who's your SmackDown pick, and what are your thoughts on Lyra defeating Io in the semifinals?
Yeah, that one shocked me a lot. I think it shows that they have a lot of high hopes for Lyra, which I think absolutely, she's really, really good. For the SmackDown side, I don't know. Honestly, I got to tell you, probably Britt. I'm looking at a picture over here of AEW, and so that the first thing that popped in my mind. Bianca is probably the favorite going into that, and probably the story is telling, probably causing some more tension between her and Jade as things start to go along, whatever the case is.
Sure.
I hated the finish to Jade and Nia.
Yep.
Her first loss comes at a DQ like that. Yeah. That to me makes zero sense. I think you could have done Bianca and Nia, then tell this whole story, but have Jade be the one to go through to the finals and win, and have Bianca be the one to get disqualified, because that's not going to hurt her.
Right.
But for Jade's first loss to come like that, it was a stupid decision, I think, and always around it.
Honestly, like, I thought about this last week whenever she faced Piper Niven. Not taking anything away from Piper Niven, but let's realize that aside from that squash match the night after WrestleMania when she beat Chelsea Green, that was Jade's first singles match on WWE television.
Yep.
I'm, again, not taking anything away from Piper, but was that really the right move to put her in the tournament to begin with?
Yeah, I mean, I have the same question about Ilya Dragunov, to be completely honest.
Yeah,
with you. I think
for sure.
I think you put Braun Breaker in that spot instead of Ilya and let him kind of go through this, because Jey Uso beating Braun Breaker is one thing. I think teasing Ilya and Gunther, I'm not going to get off that anytime soon, because
they also
had it right there.
But they teased Jade and Bianca too, and they didn't give us that either.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know?
So I think that's kind of the point of it. And I know we're getting to it at some point, but sometimes I just want my cake now, and I want Gunther Ilya now. But the King and Queen of the Ring this year has been awesome. Like, absolutely awesome. It's been better than any of the King of the Rings in a long time.
Right.
It's probably the best Queen of the Ring tournament of all time, because they haven't had that many.
Sure.
Just these little things, that nitpicks of like the Jade Nia situation and the Ilya Jade situation, simple fixes. But I don't know. I think this is a Bianca Lyra finish. And honestly, if you're getting her to the final, have her win.
Have her win it.
Lyra Valkyria win and make her Queen of the Ring, and have her kind of go forward from there, especially if Liv wins the women's title. I mean, they are already starting to have history together on TV. That's your next few kind of going forward. I can see that happening for sure.
Yeah, I don't think having Nia Jax against Lyra Valkyria, I mean, of course you want the David versus Goliath kind of thing, but at this point, I don't think it's believable for Lyra to beat Nia.
No.
So I would go Bianca. But then again, if Bianca beats Lyra and they shake hands at the end, sign of respect, whatever, Bianca winning drives a wedge between her and Jade even more, and you keep telling that story. So I think you can get to Lyra Liv without Lyra winning, but man, if Lyra does win, that's icing on the cake. And we've seen in previous iterations of the King of the Ring tournament that the winner is the number one contender and gets a shot. So you could apply that stipulation here as well. It would make sense if you do that for the men, because Gunther defeated Jey Uso on Monday Night Raw to punch his ticket to face either Randy Orton or Tama Tonga. Okay, there's a lot to break down here, so let's try to separate this real quick. Okay. Let's talk about Orton and Tama Tonga first, and then we'll talk about Gunther, because, again, a lot to talk about both ways. I originally said it's got to be Jey Uso versus Tama Tonga. Like, that makes the most sense. And then I thought, well, Gunther versus Randy Orton would be a lot of fun too. Let's think about this, though. If we're building this bloodline up to be this vicious, evil kind of thing, can Tama Tonga eat a loss here to Randy Orton?
It depends on how it happens. I don't think, which is weird to say, I don't think whoever wins this match is not winning it clean. I think if Tama Tonga wins, it's because Solo and Tangaloa got involved. I think if Randy wins, it's because Kevin Owens got involved.
Sure.
And stuns whoever, maybe the referee's down, stuns Tama Tonga, RKO.
Right.
We go forward from there.
LA Knight could get back involved.
Potentially, yeah. So we get Gunther versus Randy Orton in the final. I'm like you. I thought after Jay beat Ilya, I thought we're doing a bloodline final, because to me, honestly, that probably made the most sense. Is if we're going to tell this story, potentially do something big at SummerSlam, you can definitely plant the seeds here of having Jay be King of the Ring. Possibly Tama Tonga being King of the Ring right away would be a big boost to him as well. But I honestly, right now, I'm sticking to this being Gunther versus Randy Orton, more than Gunther versus Tama Tonga.
If it, man, yeah. Do you think that Because we saw this past week that Rikishi, I guess, sent something out about prayers for Jimmy Uso. We know that Jimmy's been hurt. I don't know if it was kayfabe or actually real. Do you think if it is actually real that maybe that slowed them down and maybe they had to pivot and
possibly
maybe Jay was the pick and Jimmy was going to return and whatever? I don't know.
Possibly. Yeah. I mean, to me, if it was Jay Tamatanga, one of the two things was happening. Either Jimmy was coming out or Jacob Fatu was showing up. Like it was one of the two things was absolutely happening. Which the reports about Jacob Fatu, I don't know if you've heard any of the reports about why they haven't, he's signed, but they haven't debuted him, is because they're afraid he's going to overshadow Solo.
I saw that. Yeah.
Which I kind of get that, because I don't know if how much of Jacob Fatu's work you've seen. The dude is a menace.
Oh yeah, he's athletic as he can be too, throwing moonsaults and all this other crazy stuff. Yeah.
So I that's just, I don't know how long they're going to hold the Jacob card. They may hold it until Roman shows up and he's part of the group that beats him down. I don't know what they're going to do.
The longer they hold it, I feel like the worse it's going to be, because people are itching for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I don't know. I'm with you though. I think, as much as I hate for Tamatanga to eat this loss to Randy Orton, I think it's probably going to happen, because I think Gunther Randy is the safest bet for the tournament final. I just can't see Gunther and Tamatanga in a final. I think Sam Roberts said it on his podcast. The result of Raw will really tell us where they're going on SmackDown. So I feel like we're going to get Gunther Randy Orton, which will be a lot of fun and a true King of the Ring final, great match, and then to solidify Gunther as possibly the number one contender for Damian Priest.
Or Randy wins it because it's a title he's never had, and we go Randy Cody.
Yeah, we could.
So
okay, let's pick it. Let's run back down the card. Let's pick the show. Let's start with the match right now. King of the Ring final, Gunther versus either Randy Orton or Tamatanga. Who wins the King of the Ring tournament?
He was my pick from the beginning, and I'm sticking to my guns because I want him to have every accomplishment in professional wrestling. I think Gunther is going to win King of the Ring and become number one contender for Damian Priest World Heavyweight Championship and take the title from him.
I think it has to be Gunther at this point. You've built him too much. You got to just keep going with it. Queen of the Ring, we've got Lyra Valkyria against either Nia Jax or Bianca Belair.
Does Raw win both of them?
Do we go with the upset? Yeah.
You know what? I think I'm going to do it.
Okay.
I think I'm going to go with Lyra because I think that's a great way to strap the rocket to her, establish her as, hey, we've got a lot of faith in her. She's probably not going to win the world title in her first try, which is fine.
Right.
But she's a future champion, future probably WrestleMania main eventer, and ride that wave.
I'm going to go with the easy layup and say Bianca Belair wins. I think that's just
a safe pick.
I think it's a safe slam dunk pick. I'm going to go with it. We drive that wedge between Bianca and Jade even more and lead to one of the biggest women's matches in WrestleMania history.
Yep.
I can't believe I just said that as much as I've dogged Jade Cargill for her whole career, but here we are. All right. Sami Zayn, Bronson Reed, Chad Gable, Intercontinental title, triple threat. Who you got?
I think Sami Zayn retains, and I think he holds that title for a little bit.
I think you're exactly right. Becky Lynch, Liv Morgan, Women's World Championship. I'm going with Liv Morgan. I think it's got to happen.
I'm going to go with Becky.
Okay.
I think Becky wins. I think we do a rematch at Money in the Bank, and Liv gets the win there.
Okay.
But I'm gonna go with Becky for now.
I'm not gonna hate your result. Let's just be honest. All right. Main event, WWE Championship, Cody Rhodes and Logan Paul. I was the one skeptical about this last week. Now you're seemingly skeptical. I'm going to go with the American Nightmare to retain, though. I think with as much stock as they put into Cody, good grief, you can't have him lose it now. You got to keep going, right?
Last week I said he had a 0.00001% chance. It's like a 0.00002% chance now. I think Cody Rhodes absolutely. I'll say I think Cody Rhodes walks out still champ. I think there's a chance there might be a wonky finish or a disqualification, but
Sure.
I think Cody Rhodes walks out champ.
All right. And your final prediction. Does the Wyatt Six or Uncle Howdy show up in some form or fashion? In person. Not just QR code, not just video. In person.
I'm going to say yes. And I'm going to say they're going to do it very similar to how Bray showed up at the end of Extreme Rules. That the show's about to go off the air. Possibly Cody's on the ramp holding the title in the air. Lights go out. Video starts to play, and we get them showing up. Or at least Uncle Howdy showing up.
I don't think we get them in person, but I think we get a very telling video of them either speaking or we see Uncle Howdy on video very clearly pointing to their first target.
Yeah. The interesting thing is because I don't know who from this show would be their target. Unless it's the safe bet and we go with possibly Bray's most common enemy, Randy Orton.
That's what I think too. I think if Randy wins the King of the Ring, like that's a slam dunk spot to do that.
Yeah.
I think we could.
Or possibly he loses and we're backstage and
or he's in the ring. Or he's in the ring. Like Gunther lays him out, he's in the ring, boom, lights go out, something.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, great stuff. If you guys are checking us out on our YouTube channel, please make sure you like the video. We would appreciate that very much. It helps us out. Also, subscribing to the channel helps us out a ton. So we would appreciate it. It doesn't cost you anything, but it helps us. Go back and check out our other pay-per-view previews, our pay-per-view reviews. All of the episodes are available in our archives and split up into playlists. And you got trivia and you got live shows and all kinds of fun stuff. Interview with college football personality Josh Pate, as we mentioned earlier. Colby Carter's on the channel. Our buddy Tyler Peters is on the channel. Andy's wife is on the channel. Like everybody, who's who is on our show with more in the works. So again, if you're on our YouTube channel, just stay right here. Click that notifications bell. That way that you know each and every time we upload an episode. We would appreciate that very much.